Hello beautiful people and welcome back to my channel. Today I am talking about Jeffrey Dahmer and y'all's obsession with serial killers. So obviously Netflix also has an obsession with serial killers. We could talk about the Jeffrey Dahmer series, we could talk about Ted Bundy, we could talk about the fact that they cast really handsome actors. And it's not just the fact that they've made so many, documentaries and TV shows about serial killers. And I don't have as much of a problem with documentaries. It's more the glorifying of these characters through like a series that is somewhat fictional and putting a really handsome actor in it. I understand they're made to look like the people, but we put somebody like Zac Efron as Ted Bundy, and obviously that's gonna make people enjoy him in a romantic way. Even though, and I understand that it was like that. I understand that it was already like that at the time because, again, women are sick. Like, this obsession with serial killers, it's really starting to bother me because, when Joe from You was getting simped over, I was like, not only do I not find this man attractive, he's doing bad things in this show, and so I think the fact that he's doing bad things in this show is why people are finding him attractive, which is gross. I just have an issue when it becomes glorified and to the point where a lot of women are making videos saying, oh, they're desensitized by this Jeffrey Dahmer series. You're desensitized by the killing of black gay men and you're gonna brag about it like it's something to brag about. That is like really the end of the line for me. Like, it's one thing if you want to be obsessed and sick to your own peril, right? When you're watching serial killers that just go after women as women and you're saying, oh, whatever, I love this. I've heard it said that part of the reason that women are so into serial killer stuff, serial killer documentaries, serial killer TV shows, is part of it comes from like a self-defense standpoint, which I can understand, or like a precautionary tale, and they're interested in the ways things were done so that they could potentially avoid those things should they be presented with that situation. That makes a lot of sense, right? And it's been argued that that's why serial killer stuff is so loved and obsessed over, but it does cross a line. Specifically, now that we're talking about Jeffrey Dahmer, black gay men are not simping over him. Women are. Think about that. Think about that for a second. And everybody is, and these are mostly white people, are, what's wrong, baby? She's fine. They're making a lot of content saying, when people say they're made to be sick by the Jeffrey Dahmer series, and I actually just looked up all the killers' real pictures, or all the victims' real pictures on the internet for 2 hours, and they just brag about how they're desensitized by something that is really traumatic to all of these families, and the families have come out and say that this bothers them, and that it has re-traumatized them. And, it does remind me of Jordan Peele's latest movie, what is it called? Nope. Where the whole premise and the whole idea is how obsessed people are with bad miracles, with spectacles that are painful and traumatizing to people. All people want to do is then capitalize off that. And it's such a, Jordan Peele will remain a genius for the reason that he touched on something that people are really, Netflix relies on for their content. They rely on re-traumatizing people, whether we're talking about Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy or like another serial killer series, or we're talking about even Marilyn Monroe. Like, this new freaking biopic is bullshit. I literally didn't watch Jeffrey Dahmer and I didn't watch the Marilyn Monroe biopic because I tried and they were awful. They were traumatizing to me in the first 2 seconds. Like, watching Marilyn Monroe, and it was just her mom beating her for the first 5 minutes, and I've heard that the rest of the movie is just her going through trauma because the director was only interested in watching her go through trauma. He was not interested in her accomplishments. He wrote that down. Same thing happens with Dahmer. People are so interested in sitting down and being entertained by the murder of black gay boys. Why? And they not only see nothing wrong with that, like, it's one thing, I'm not judging people who watch it, right? I personally couldn't watch it. I'm not judging people who watch it. But to go and say, oh yeah, it didn't faze me, you're sick. You're sick. you're a gross human being. Oh yeah, that didn't faze me. I actually went and looked at all the this is actually a TikTok somebody made. I went and looked at all the victims' pictures for 2 hours and it didn't even faze me, blah, blah, blah. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? People think this is normal, and that's what I'm saying. What Jordan Peele was talking about, this like obsession with pain and trauma and spectacle and tearing it apart and rebranding it and making 17 movies and docuseries about it on Netflix to the point where everybody is re-traumatized who actually had to go through it, is disgusting. It's disgusting. It's sick. And to watch people try to convince themselves that, oh yeah, it's like a thrill for me, like, you know, I don't even get fazed by it. I just like to blah blah blah. I can't get fazed by anything. You should be. You should have enough human empathy and emotion that it bothers you. It should bother you more. It should bother you a lot more. Like, I literally could not watch the first 5 minutes of Jeffrey Dahmer. Even the first scene where he's talking about the smell. Me, as somebody who cannot separate the humanity when I'm watching something, so I'm thinking about the person who is dead, who is creating that smell, and I'm picturing their family and I'm picturing their life immediately. Like, I jump to humanizing that person and that victim, and I think a lot of people do. I think that's a very human reaction. I don't think I'm special or specially empathetic just because I'm a fucking Pisces to have enough empathy to not be able to watch the show. I don't think I'm special in that. In fact, I think more people should be more bothered. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm like, this obsession with this spectacle of a serial killer to the point where, so my mind for me also goes to like the glorification of male killers and like the fact that so many white men who do bad things get famous in this way. And I think about school shooters. I think about how, you know, school shooters were very much a domino effect in that a couple school shooters happened. You think about Bowling for Columbine and they made a name for themselves. And you think about how that might incentivize another boy who is very upset with the world and wants to make a name for himself in that way. And you think about what he might do because he saw it on television and he saw what the easy way to fame is. Because when people just have like anger and like a strong desire and they don't know how to deal with that, like I can see things like this incentivizing those type of people because it's very easy for a white man to get so famous and glorified, and his legacy then becomes glorified. Like, how are you telling me there's nothing wrong with someone like Zac Efron, who's a movie star, or like Evan Peters, who's such a big actor that so many people already have romantic feelings towards them, and I understand that's exactly why they're getting cast. But that is really tragically messed up. Like, okay, what I want to say is like, imagine I don't even want to say imagine you're the person that one of these serial killers, not even that you're one of their victims, but like you're the family member, okay? So say your sister or brother was murdered by Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer, and then you see Zac Efron play him on TV. You see Evan Peters play him on TV, and then you see people simping over them on the internet. Does that feel like a fair outcome? And the other thing is, like, I saw, I can't remember I didn't watch Jeffrey Dahmer, so I'm not gonna know, but I did see a clip, like, circulating on TikTok that I know was actually in the show, because I saw a side-by-side still, of one of the sisters of one of Jeffrey's victims. She's wearing, like, big hoops, and she has, like, a bit of, like, she has, like, bangs, and her hair is up, and she's wearing, like, a crimson hoodie, I think. And I think they even did, like, the same outfit and everything, and they put that scene in the Netflix series. She didn't get paid for them using her likeness. So this is what I'm saying. They don't care about the families. Like, the families have already said that it's re-traumatized them, and you're using that sister's complete image and likeness, not even talking about the victims, right? And using their likeness to create your show. That's #1 on Netflix. And you won't pay them a dime You're gonna re-traumatize them and not pay them a dime? And we're gonna pretend that this is ethical and just for, I don't know, entertainment. You're sick in the head. You're sick in the head, because if you were gonna be so obsessed with this, if Netflix and their producers are gonna be so obsessed with this, is it not hard to like at least pay the families? That I don't understand. I don't understand how it's legal, how it's allowed. There's so many copyright rules that are so strict. There's so many things that are so strict, and this is untouchable, and Netflix gets to make millions, I don't know how much money they make off stuff like this. So much money, and they won't even pay these people a cent, and they get to use the exact words that they used in a courtroom and model the character and act. You should never get paid to play someone, and the person you're playing is still alive and re-traumatized by your performance, and they don't get paid because you wouldn't exist without their role in real life. And I understand nobody's interested in being moral here, but that's kind of my issue, if that makes sense. And I think our culture very much feeds into this like obsession with spectacle and love the serial killer, the handsome white man who is, you know, psychotic on the inside, and what if you can change him? What if he changes for you? Like, and maybe that's what it is, and maybe it's about, I don't know, maybe it's like some really psycho, like deeply psychological issue that has to do with like an avoidant attachment style. I don't know. I would encourage people to unpack that. But yeah, overall, it's not that I'm saying like we should never watch serial killer documentaries. Again, I think documentaries are a lot different. I think there is a line that is crossed when it goes from, you know, simply portraying what happened in history to we are obsessed with this man in a way that is unhealthy, and his fame is overshadowing the pain of all of his victims to the point where people are capitalizing off of his image and being able to glorify him and still not giving the victims a penny. And it's really wrong, because what you're doing is you are magnifying this man's legacy in a negative way. Like you're what's the word? Enlarging, magnifying. I don't even know if that's the word. You're sorry, you guys. Sometimes I'm actually dumb, and I can't think, and I forget what words are. What I'm trying to say is you are making the pain a lot bigger. You are magnifying the pain for those families. If what he did was wrong, which we can all collectively agree was completely morally wrong, then your perpetuation of that harm is also wrong. It's so wrong. And there should be some kind of, I'm starting to think there should really be some kind of like protective policy for victims in cases like this, because the world and the internet and TV and film is so sick that they are going to further traumatize and abuse these victims and their families and disrespect their legacy. There really needs to be, like, when big things happen like that, or big cases, there needs to be some sort of like privacy or some sort of protection act so that this doesn't keep happening to victims, because I think it's very messy, and I think it's very neglectful on the side of like both the producers and the law. Like, there should be some sort of protection so that somebody can't take your story and something that traumatized your family and then capitalize off it without ever giving you a cent. It's really messed up in so many ways, especially when we're talking about something like a serial killer, like cannibalism. It's just, you didn't even think about re-traumatizing the families after using their image and likeness? What is wrong with you? It's crazy. Crazy. Anyways, that is all I have to say about this topic. And yeah, I will talk to you next time. Bye.